Good morning, everyone. A bug just landed into my eye. I'm at the Wachusett Meadows Wildlife Preserve in Princeton, Massachusetts. It's kind of been raining off and on all today, so I'm gonna try to stick to small parks in case I have to bail out and go back to the van. This one looks really pretty. I've been walking around for about a half hour. It's got a little of everything here. A beautiful pond, hummingbirds, gardens, some facilities in case you want to have a banquet or something. A bullfrog just sitting there staring off into space, doing his bullfrog thing. I don't know what those animals think about. They just stare off into space. I'm also getting eaten alive by bugs, so that's the downside of today. I want to try to hit some of the peaks around here, Mount Wachusett and vicinity. It's just a beautiful area, and I'm going back to my new favorite campground tonight, Otter Creek in Winchendon, Massachusetts. So speaking of Otter Creek, this is Otter Pond. No relation to the campground. We're still far from that area. There are actually otters in here and beavers. I just saw both. It made me wonder if otters and beavers ever fight or if they mate. I have seen an otter rape and kill another otter in the Georgia Aquarium in Atlanta, Georgia one time. So I'm sure that kind of thing happens in nature, even between the species. If something like that happens, I'll bust out the camera for sure. I didn't see that otter or the beaver come back out. I waited for a while. They built a nice little house there. Right up here is the high point in this little preserve called Brown Hill. There's a loop that goes up. It says, I don't know, Brown Hill Loop. I thought I was already in a loop. I'm doing like a loop within a loop. I don't know, this might be the, what do they call it? The confluence of reality right here, the nexus. There's tons of blueberries here too. And raspberries. I'm hardly making any trail progress. So apparently that was Brown Hill, the summit, the highest point in this preserve that I'm in. Keep in mind, Mount Wachusett is right next door, which is like 1,000 feet tall. I might try to hike that today. Look at this trail I'm coming down. There's all grass covering the hillside. I don't think I've seen anything like it. Usually all the pine mulch is too acidic for grass. And there's, of course, an old hedgerow here, this wall of stones, which is how they marked property boundaries back in the 16 and 1700s. Oh, thank God the sun came out. I thought it was going to rain on and off for the rest of the day. Let's hope this lasts. This park that I'm at has like a north and south part to it. It's divided by the road. The north part is all kind of hilly. I just did like a loop within a loop within a loop or something. I didn't really read the map. I felt like I went in circles a few times, but I definitely saw everything. I'm gonna go down to the south side of this park, which is much flatter. I have a bad feeling there are even more mosquitoes there, but it looks very pretty. Oh, check this out. Look who's coming to join me. Getting off the northern part of this park to the road was like Homer's Odyssey, folks. First, I encountered another wild bush of berries, the biggest one yet, and there was a bench right there, so of course I sat down. Before I knew it, 40 minutes passed, so then I went down a little hill back towards the visitor center. I was literally attacked by a bunch of goats. They just came from around a corner, like out of a friggin' barn or something. There's no other people there. I don't know if someone was hurting them. They came right at me. One of them put his head right up against me. A few of them had horns. I thought they were gonna ram me. I just tried to like give them scritches and stuff, but I was scared. Anyway, I did make it to the road eventually. There's a nice info board on the other side about the American chestnut blight. Apparently in 1904, some Asian fungus, specially engineered through tens of millions of years of native evolution, was specifically designed to kill the American chestnut. It came over on a boat and it's wiped out like 90% of the trees since, which is kind of sad. Prior to today, all I knew about the chestnut was they produced a delicious vegetable. Now I know a second thing. I just saw the most comfortable looking animal on earth, a frog. He was lounging on this deck by this pond here in the park. It looked like he was in one of those Disney World kiddie pools. He just looked so good, but he was just staring into space. I swear, frogs have to be like the dumbest looking animal. The one I saw before, they just stare off. They don't even stare straight. They stare off into the distance, like sideways. It's like, is there a brain in there? Do you realize how good of a life you have right now? Speaking of dumb animals, I also saw a deer just a few minutes after that. This was a fawn though, so it was still a baby. It was cute. It's not quite developed at the stage where it will run in front of my truck for no good reason, but he'll get there in a few years. Yeah, pick a species. This park has it all. I think I've seen one of every insect, one of every amphibian. It has a ton of those orange lizards. They're called newts. I'm not sure if they're technically lizards or not, but there's tons of them. The park also did a great job putting all these park benches just scattered throughout the trail. I question the placement of some of them. There's one back there where you'd just be staring at a wall. So I just had the weirdest interaction with nature. There was a guy riding his lawnmower up this trail right here for no reason. You can probably still hear him. And there was also a deer standing in this field, and the guy rode his lawnmower right past the deer within 15 feet of her. The deer also saw me, so the deer turned and looked at me, and I'm looking at the deer like, what the hell is this guy doing? And then the guy in the lawnmower saw me. I guess he saw me looking at the deer, so then he stared at the deer. It was like the last scene in The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, I swear to God. Me and that deer bonded for a second. Anyway, I'm not bonding with the mosquitoes here, though. I'm getting eaten alive. This is clearly like a disaster zone for bugs. I want to get back to the van. There's other stuff I wanted to do today. So I came back to one of my favorite good old trusty places, Rhododendron State Park, just about half hour north of where I was. It's right on the New Hampshire-Massachusetts state border. I've done videos here before. It's just this part of the woods where rhododendron plants have just completely taken over. They've choked out almost everything else except for some tall elm trees. The rhododendrons themselves bloom in mid-July. Today's July 13th. I'm really hoping to see some flowers. We might not, though. Let's see. This is not good. The little petals all over the ground everywhere make me think I may have already missed the bloom. Oh, here we go. It's a very elegant looking flower, white with a little bit of pink. It's in bloom on the sunnier side of the trails right now. I think the full bloom, the massive sweep, is probably still another week or two. I love walking through here any time of year though, whether they're in bloom or not. This is just such an enchanting forest for me. I'm gonna get to my campground now. I'm at Otter River State Forest in Winchendon, a few towns below here. I've stayed there once before. It has a trail you can take to Lake Denison, a great lake you can walk around the park. So I don't freaking believe it. I'm at Otter Creek Campground, and a few weeks ago I was at Lake Denison Campground and this ice cream truck followed me around for like a mile. What kept happening is I would walk past the truck while it was serving someone, and then it would turn its music back on and start following me, and we were leapfrogging each other for like a mile and a half. I made a whole video about it. It drove me bonkers. Anyway, that music that comes out of that truck, it's called Turkey in the Straw. Apparently it triggers me. It triggers me. One great thing about this campground, it connects to Lake Denison. There's a 2-mile trail that goes straight there. Figured I'd go there. I have plenty of time. The trail from Otter River to Lake Denison encounters mulberries. That's something I don't think I've yet encountered on my hikes, at least not this season. They're great. There's also some blueberries here. I gorged a little bit. I'm not a big fan of blueberries, not because I don't like the taste, but because you have to pick like 16,000 of them just to get one mouthful. I much prefer the genetically modified monster blueberries they have at the grocery store. This summer I made a conscious effort to explore new campgrounds, try to do a new one every other week. I just kept going back to the same ones in Western Mass over and over. I'm glad I did because I like this one a lot. Lake Denison might be my new favorite place, not only to camp, but just to recreate. I'm actually surprised that this place isn't more popular. The beach is beautiful. Today is a bright, warm, hot, sunny Saturday. I can't believe there's not more people here. They have one of the biggest parking lots I've ever seen here, and it's almost always empty. I don't know. I guess it's just a hidden gem for now. But I saw on the trail between here and my campground, which is about 2 miles south, there's a pond in the woods. On my way back, I'm gonna try to visit that, see what that's like. Yeah, this is called Mud Pond, according to my GPS. I often wonder who names these things. It's not very original. Very quiet and peaceful though. As you can see, the sun is starting to set, so I'm gonna get back to my campground, get a shower going. I've got a ton of editing I wanna do tonight, some stuff in the van. I also got swordfish. I can't wait to cook. I haven't had fish in like 2 weeks. I don't think I've cooked in a week. Oh, it's hard to believe that 2 years ago, I had never camped before. I had never been to a campground. Now, I can't imagine not having moments like tonight where I can sit at a table, editing with a campfire going in the background, with my swordfish cooking, which was delicious, by the way. Yeah, what a day. The whole area around Mount Wachusett has tons of parks and stuff. I just did a taste of it today. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Hit that like button below if you haven't already. I am done. I'm gonna cash out. So this is where I say goodnight. Peace out, everyone.